He didn't want anyone to see him like that, not in that chair, not after everything he used to be. He canceled plans, avoided photos, sat in the back at family gatherings, hoping no one would notice him or the wheels beneath him. He thought the wheelchair made him look weak, like his story had already ended, like he was stuck. But then one day, at a backyard cookout he didn't even want to attend, his 6-year-old niece ran up, tugged at his sleeve, and asked with eyes full of wonder, "Can I ride with you?" And just like that, the very thing he'd been hiding in shame became a source of joy, pride, and connection. He thought his wheelchair was a prison, but to her, it was magic. This is the story of how one innocent question from a child who didn't see broken, only adventure, changed how he saw himself. But what happened after that ride, what it awakened in him, he never saw coming. Before the accident, Liam Chen was the guy who made things happen. He taught high school English by day, ran weekend writing workshops by night, and somehow still showed up for every family birthday, graduation, and hospital visit. He loved movement, biking through the city, dancing at weddings, awkwardly but with heart. Even the way he taught felt kinetic. Chalk flying, hands in motion, pacing the classroom like a stage. But one January morning changed everything. A patch of black ice, a second floor staircase, a fall so fast he didn't even have time to cry out. The diagnosis came later in cold practice language: T7 complete spinal cord injury, paralyzed from the waist down, permanent. At first, Liam did everything he was told: therapy, rehab, adaptive training. He smiled for visitors, told his students he'd be back, pretended he was fine. But beneath the surface, shame crept in, not just about what he couldn't do, but about how people looked at him now. Pity, politeness laced with discomfort, the kind of silence that fills the room when someone used to be something and now just is. Liam started turning down invites, avoiding mirrors, and when his family gathered, he positioned his wheelchair behind furniture, behind people, behind anything that could hide it. The worst part? He believed them. The world's quiet message that his life was now smaller, that he had gone from someone admired to someone accommodated. But what he didn't know was that a child, the smallest one in the family, would see something in him that no adult could. And what she said, what she asked, would turn his entire view of himself upside down. It was a Saturday, a backyard cookout Liam almost didn't attend. He told his sister he was tired, but really he just didn't want to be seen. Not like this, not rolling up the driveway while everyone else stood around a grill, holding plates and drinks, laughing on their own 2 feet. But guilt won, so he came, late, quiet. He parked himself under the shade of a tree, away from the crowd, near the fence. That's when he heard it, the thudding of little footsteps. Avenue, his niece, 6 years old, sugar sticky fingers, butterfly clips in her hair, and a personality that could light up the whole zip code. She hadn't seen him since before the accident. He braced himself. Kids are honest, sometimes too honest. She ran up, looked at him, then looked at the chair. Liam held his breath, ready for the questions, for the confusion, maybe even fear, but Ava just lit up. "Uncle Liam," she beamed, "is this your race car?" He blinked. "What?" "Can I ride with you?" she asked, tugging at the armrest. No hesitation, no awkward pause, just joy, just curiosity, just love. And something cracked open in him. She didn't see a man who'd lost something. She saw an adventure. She saw her hero. He laughed, a real laugh. The first one in a long, long time. "Hop on," he said. And in that moment, without realizing it, Liam began to return to himself. But he had no idea how much that simple ride around the yard would change everything after. Because the ripple effect? It didn't stop with Ava. Liam rolled slowly across the lawn, Ava perched proudly on his lap, giggling like she was on a roller coaster. Every bump in the grass sent squeals into the air. Every turn made her throw her arms up like she was flying. Neighbors turned, relatives smiled, and for the first time in months, Liam didn't shrink from it. He waved, he laughed, he let himself be seen. Ava yelled, "Faster, Uncle Liam. We're winning the race." And for a moment, he believed her. In that 30-yard joyride, he saw something he hadn't in a long time. Freedom, not in walking, but in moving, connecting. And suddenly, his wheelchair wasn't a symbol of what had been taken. It was a bridge, a tool, a way in, not just a way around. The rest of the day felt different. He joined the family at the table instead of hovering behind it. He let someone take a photo, full body, chair, and all. And when Ava pulled out her crayons to draw a picture of their race, Liam didn't stop her when she drew him sitting in wheels. He smiled, but here's the thing. That joyride wasn't the end. It was only the beginning, because something happened the next week, something small, unexpected, that would take Liam's quiet rediscovery and turn it into something bigger than he ever imagined. The ride with Ava lit a spark, but sparks still flicker in the wind. Liam's shame didn't vanish overnight. The next morning, he woke up to that familiar voice in his head. "Don't get used to this. One moment doesn't fix everything." And there were still hard days. Curb cuts too steep, bathrooms too small, people who talked to his chair instead of him. Even his return to school wasn't easy. The ramps were old, the elevators slow, students stared. Some didn't know what to say, so they said nothing. But something had changed in Liam. That joyride had reminded him he was still capable, still worthy of being seen, still someone a child looked up to, not in spite of his wheels, but because of them. He began to take his chair outside more often, grocery runs, park benches, even the library. He stopped turning away from reflections. He started making eye contact again. And when a student quietly rolled up to him one day, a ninth grader in a power chair with nervous eyes, and asked, "How do you do it?" Liam didn't hesitate. One turn of the wheel at a time, he smiled. And sometimes with a passenger. From that day forward, he became more than a teacher. He became a mirror for kids who needed to see what possibility looked like, not in stories, but in someone who'd lived it. He led a new writing class called Own Your Story. He volunteered with an adaptive sports group. And he took Ava back to that same lawn, this time letting her steer. And yet, just when Liam thought he had found his rhythm again, a letter arrived, a letter that would ask him to do something he never thought he was ready for. Something public, something terrifying, something that would challenge the last piece of shame he hadn't let go of, and force him to roll forward into a spotlight he had always avoided. Liam sat at his desk, holding the letter in trembling hands. It was an invitation to speak at an upcoming school assembly on overcoming adversity. 1,000 students, a stage, a microphone, and no place to hide. Old fears stirred. Would they see the man? Or just the chair? But then he looked across the room. Taped to the wall was a crayon drawing, a stick figure in a wheelchair with a huge smile. Ava's handwriting scrawled underneath. Uncle Liam, the fastest hero I know. And something settled in him. He realized he'd spent months trying to walk again, not with his legs, but with his identity, trying to walk tall, walk proud, walk visible. And he had, in the only way that truly mattered, because Ava didn't care that he couldn't walk. She cared that he showed up, that he laughed, that he let her in. And that's the thing about shame. It doesn't disappear all at once. It dissolves when we stop running from it. When we let someone ride with us. When we understand our worth was never tied to our ability to stand, but in our ability to connect. And Liam, he wasn't finished, because that assembly speech, it would be the first time he told his full story out loud, but it wouldn't be the last. If you've ever felt ashamed of the things that make you different, if you've ever hidden your strength because the world couldn't see it, let Liam's story remind you. Sometimes it takes the eyes of a child to show us who we really are. You are not your chair. You are not your scar. You are not your silence. You are the movement, the story, the strength. And if stories like this matter to you, subscribe to this channel, because here we celebrate every ride, every voice, and every hero who rolls forward, able in every way.